All right, tell the YouTube people what you want to tell them this time.
Well, when I was a kid, our house had a big basement. The foundation of the house was stone, but the things that I can remember was in that basement. That was before we had electricity. We had my dad called it a light plant, and and that thing would generate electricity. I guess you would probably call it some kind of a big generator. But the things that Mom kept in the basement, yeah, sometimes I still have dreams about that basement. Anyhow, one of the things was a big 5-gallon crock, and she'd put cucumbers in it and put, I guess, vinegar and salt and put a plate on it and a stone to hold them down. And she made cucumbers that way. And it was also big shelves the whole way around there, things that Mom canned. Now, she canned a lot of things from the garden, but she canned things that she went out, berries and things that she went out and picked. One of the things that I didn't care much for was canned blackberries. I like berries, but not canned blackberries. And every Saturday, Mom made pies. Thursday, we cleaned upstairs. Friday, we cleaned downstairs. And on Saturday, she baked. She made really good pies. And we had our own apple trees outside. But anyhow, also in this basement, we didn't even have a furnace. Later on, we had a furnace down there. It was a coal furnace. And then later on, they got an oil furnace. It was a big, long bench. They called it a butcher bench. And that's what they did. People used when they butchered, was just like a big, long table. And they cut the meat up on it. And when they would butcher several hogs at one time. I used to hate that when they killed those animals. I could hear it squeal, and then they'd scrape all the bristles off of it. And make lard. But when they made sausage, they took the inside intestines of the hog and cleaned them out. That's what was the women's job. Cleaned them out, and they stuffed them to make sausage. I don't think they ever make that kind of sausage anymore, but they have some kind of sausage casings that they buy.
I'm sure somewhere out there somebody still does it that way, but
maybe.
Might not be as common as it once was.
I remember about our church at Newton Hamel, Pastor Brown had never been to a butcher. Somebody took him to one to show him what it was like.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. He was such a nice guy. A gentleman. And sometimes in the wintertime, Mom did her laundry down there. In the summer, she did it out on the back porch. And we didn't have an automatic washer and dryer in those days. She heated the water, carried it out, dumped it in the washer. She had 2 tubs. One was to rinse. One was, if something was stained, when she took it out of the washer, you had to turn the handle to dry it. That was the wringer. And in the wintertime, sometimes she would even push that washer into the kitchen and do the laundry that way in the kitchen. And there was a rack, we had an old-fashioned kitchen stove range, and there was a rack there, and she would hang clothes over that. And one thing about those old kitchen stoves, those old ladies made the best meals on them. Fried potatoes, and there was really good cooking. And there was an oven on the range. Get up in the morning, it was cold, just sit by the oven door to get warm. get dressed to get warm. But that basement, it seems, was one of the things that I remember. Then later on, when we had running water, there was an offset there where the boys they fixed it up for a shower. When the war was over, they'd come home from the war. They showered down in the basement. Nathan showers in the basement, yeah, don't you?
Yep. Of course, what I have, I think, is probably a little bit better than that.
Running hot and cold water and all that.
Well, talk a little bit about the farm like you were telling me before we started.
One of my grandparents, one of my best memories is from going up to the farm over the weekends. When school was out, I would go up to the farm. And I always thought they had the best food because they cooked on that old cook stove. And my aunt lived with my aunt and uncle lived with my grandparents. And she more or less took over the household because they were old. And that was a house that was different from the houses they have now. The basement was not underground. It was just a separate room from the kitchen. There was no floor on it or anything, but that was their basement in this room. I kind of would like to see inside that house now. It had originally been a stone house. Then they put stucco on it. And what's on it now? I don't know, but it looks like just a regular old house. And there was a big room upstairs. It was like a living room up where the bedrooms are now. But later on, they used it for a bedroom, but it was their living room. And then when I went onto a porch up above, I can't even explain it. But a lot of interesting things. My memories, a lot of interesting memories for me came from up at the farm. I remember the big cherry trees in the front yard. And when they quit using them, there were some Amish people would come up there and pick those cherries. And you could hear them talking Pennsylvania Dutch while they were picking cherries. And then they had a house that was given to my uncle. It's a cottage, a camp now. But it had one of those cherry trees that had big black oxheart cherries. You pay a lot of money for them in the store now.
Yeah.
You should love them. Get around that tree and pick the black cherries. Not those little black cherries like we had up home there when we first moved there, but oxhearts. And my grandparents were really, to us now, they were really old-fashioned people.
Well, tell the horse story.
And when we went, I would go out to the fields with my grandpa with his horse and sit beside him, or between his legs or on his lap, and he was raking up hay. And when he was done raking hay, we brought the horses into the creek to get a drink, and then he put them in the barn. Well, he put me up on the horse, and the horse was sweating, and my underclothes got wet from sitting on this wet horse. Of course, it wasn't a saddle or anything on it because it was just coming in from the field where he was raking hay. And that was, I kind of, as a kid, I kind of enjoyed that when the rake would go around the field and rake it up, and then they'd let it dry out, and then it was hay. They had more cats, barn cats and house cats. But one of the most awful things I remember my aunt doing, they had too darn many cats. Well, she put these little kittens, this is cruel, in a bucket of water, set another bucket on top of that till the cats were dead, and she pitched them out in the.
Yeah, you wouldn't dare do that these days.
No, that you get caught for that. That's against the, what?
That would be
Animal cruelty.
Animal cruelty. You'd have all sorts of people after you for doing that these days.
Yep. She got rid of the cats that one. One time, the horses were in the barn, and there was cats had kittens down under where the trough was. There was a big trough where they threw in hay. Then there was a trough on the side where they get whole layers of corn. In under there, the cat had kittens. And it was about high like this. I was hanging down over it. Horse's head came up, knocked me back across that manger. I guess that's what we call it. I don't know, across the hallway where horses stay. And I don't know if that horse knew what it did or not, but he knocked me for a row with his head.
I guess.
That's just, well, I never did that again. And then there was at one end of the barn had hay in it, straw made from grain, you know.
Right.
And we would slide down the straw.
Well, that reminds me of a few times when we would go to hang out down at Forgey's farm. We'd climb up in the rafters of the barn and jump down into the cottonseed.
Yeah. And
so I know a little bit about that kind of stuff.
And then they had, one of the big days on the farm was thrashing day. They took all these, I guess it was wheat, and there's only a couple people that I know of that owned a thrashing machine. And one was, they called him H, Mr. Grassmeyer, and one was Steve Harshmeyer, I think. And they would take their thrashing machines around to different farmers for them to thrash their, and that was a big day at the farm. Of course, when they had a butchering or a thrashing day, then my aunt cooked them a great meal. It was usually fried chicken, things that they raised on the farm.
Right.
And my job was to carry water out to them, fresh water, and they called me the water boy, even though I wasn't a boy. And then you had water on a bench, setting these basins and water on a bench in a row for them to wash up when they come in to eat. I don't know how many people would be there on a threshing day. I think Mr. Grassmeyer and his son and other people that came to help. So that was butchering day, threshing day, with big days on the farm. Now where I lived at home, it wasn't a farm. We raised, it was a small, we had a barn. I remember sleeping in the barn. Say, Mom, can I sleep in the barn tonight? In the summer? And we'd get a blanket or something, put it up in the hay mounds, sleep up in there.
Why not, you know?
So the barn's gone now, but the house is still there. It's a beauty parlor now, the house where the lady...
Well, that's better than what the house I grew up in is now. My old house is a dog parlor.
Yeah. Yeah. You lived with me a lot of the time now.
Yeah, but our house, that's what it is now. It's the dog parlor place. I don't want to say the name of it because I don't want to advertise it, but that's what it is now.
They take care of your dogs for you.
Yeah, you take them in, get their fur clipped or their claws trimmed or whatever, whatever it is people take their dogs to the dog parlor for. That's what it is now. They even have a Facebook page. So I've seen pictures.
Really? Next door was a chiropractor. Is he still there?
It's still there.
There's a chiropractor right down the street here.
That's a whole nother subject that I was kind of going to suggest, but you sort of beat me to it. The way people say things when you live out in the woods like we do. Yes.
Chiropractor.
Yeah, like things like choirpractor. Matter of fact, I was talking to a friend of mine about that not that long ago, about some of the dumb things that people say.
like piano. And it doesn't even end in an
A. It ends in an O.
Piano.
Mm-hmm.
And what else is there? Some of them.
I like the word yuns.
Yuns.
That's a very central Pennsylvania thing for those who don't know.
I think I probably used to say that, but I try hard not. A lot of people in here still say yuns.
Mm-hmm.
It's to pluralize you. Yuns.
Yes, but
Where were yuns yesterday?
It's such a dumb word.
It is. It is.
That's like down around like Philadelphia, they say yuz.
Down south, they say you all.
Uh-huh.
Well,
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
It's not strictly right, but it makes more sense.
And then they cut it short to y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all.
Yeah. Just some of the dumb things that come out of people's mouths. And working in the kind of work that I do, I won't say exactly where, because again, I don't want to advertise and they don't sponsor this channel, but I hear people say some of the dumbest things and I have to hold it back because I'm doing my job, but it's like, what is wrong with you?
You can't think of it now and then.
Oh, I could think of it, but I don't want to say some of them.
Yeah, which there's people around here still saying. And one of the things that people say, I don't know if everybody does, a lot of this here, so it did.
Yes, in this town where we are now in particular.
Yes. They'll say something then, so it is, so it did.
Mm-hmm.
I got to church on Sunday, so it did.
I tried to explain that to somebody one time, and they just looked at me like, huh?
I heard Zane say that already. I thought, oh, he must be from PJ Town, too.
Oh, my.
I don't remember my family saying that so much, but it's right in this area where I live now.
Yeah, it's very much a local thing.
Right to say. What is some of the things that... If you ever want a good drink, though, is that cider that they make before it gets hard, when it's just a little bit bitey. It's good. And
maybe you should set that story up, because you told me about that before we started rolling.
did it?
Yeah.
And then my mother was talking about what we kept in our basement. Another thing she used to make was homemade root beer. Well, when it started to work sometime, it would explode. The jars would actually explode.
Yeah.
But that was really good, though. Homemade root beer is really good. There used to be a restaurant right down this side of Lewistown that made homemade root beer. It was somewhat like...
Yeah, it's that place that they're down there remodeling now.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to call it now. I think it was called like Jack's Mountain or something back then.
It was somewhat like the homemade root beer we used to make.
There's a booth that sets up on Country Memories Day that sells their own homemade root beer. It's really good. I bought their refillable cup one year, and I made the mistake of taking it home with me, and my mother found it and thought it was just a regular plastic cup and threw it away.
Oh.
But you got it refilled for $2 if you brought it back with you, and that was why I bought it, but now my cup's gone.
I don't walk around anymore during Country Memory Day, but we sit outside here and watch everything. Because they park all the antique cars.
Yeah, they always have the antique car show right outside here, yeah. I've been meaning to do a video about Country Memories Day these past couple years, but I keep forgetting, so I might do one for this channel this year.
Yeah. And it's something they look forward every year.
It certainly draws a crowd.
It's a big thing. Yeah, Newton Hamilton tried to have a Country Memories Day, something like that.
Yeah, they tried to something similar like a street fair, and it didn't work out.
No. We've had... bazaars and bake sales and stuff up at Newton Hill, but nothing like that.
Well, before we wrap this one up, since this is our first video of this year, anything that you want to say about things that you're looking forward to in the new year?
I'm looking forward to summer. We're in the middle of winter now, and I can sit out on the porch. And I'm hoping to get over this cough. And yeah, some of the things that we enjoy the most here is sitting out on the porch in the summer and talking, and getting together in the evenings. And we worked. Just today we're putting puzzles together out here, and sometimes we play cards. And it's a nice place to live because people come and do things for you. Beulah's always bringing me something. She did my laundry for me last week. I gave her some quarters, and Beulah loves to cook, and she gives me some good. I have a good neighbor. All my neighbors were good. So you stopped out there to see the puzzle today?
Haven't had a chance to look.
Oh, I thought when you
I saw them out there working on it, did not look.
Oh, I thought when you went to town, maybe you stopped by.
I didn't go out that door.
Anyhow.
Well, I think that's about all the time we have for now.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Nathan cooked a really good dinner for us this evening.
Yes, I was surprised to find out that canned potatoes will actually make a half-decent substitute for a proper baked potato.
We had loin chops, and we had
green bean casserole.
Green bean casserole with mushrooms.
And I made little bitty baked potatoes about yay big.
And then we had applesauce in it. And it turned out pretty darn good.
I guess I can cook after all.
Anyhow, better than the cooking. I haven't been doing much cooking lately for myself because I don't feel like cooking for myself.
Well, like I said, I think we're about out of time, so is that all you got for this one?
I guess so.
All right.